What's going on? We'll give all glory and praise and honor to the Most High. And I was listening to somebody's one of their videos, and they said something pretty funny. And they said you have to be a coward, to serve Satan, man. And you have to be a goon to serve the Most High. You know what I mean? And I agree with it, man, because a lot of Satan's tactics is cowardly, man. And when you serving the Most High, it's not an easy thing, man. Not in this world, man. It's very difficult, man. And it's more easier to serve Satan, and do his will. So today I'm just gonna be getting into certain things that the disciples had to go through, and probably some of the apostles too. And we're just gonna see that, it's not an easy thing, man. To serve the Most High. These people that serve the Most High, man, straight goons. So we're gonna get into it. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 35 through 40. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover, of bonds and imprisonment, man. You know what I mean? They were stoned. They were sawn asunder. Were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goat skins, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented, man. Destitute, afflicted, and tormented, man. These are the things that they're going to go, the people that serve the Most High had to go through. Destitute, affliction, and tormented. They're not preaching that in the church. They're not telling you that. Let's keep going, They just want to preach prosperity all the time. A lot of these fake preachers. Let's keep going. Of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and in caves of the earth. So this is what the people of the Most High had to do, man. When they facing persecution, they always had to stay on the move, man. And all these, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise, and having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect, man. So this is what they had to go through, man. They were tortured, man. Not accepting deliverance. Tempted, slain with the sword. We're gonna get into we're gonna show you what these guys had to go through, man. So right here we have King Herod. He had James put to death with the sword, likely a reference to beheading. So you remember King Herod also put John the Baptist, to death by beheading. You know what I mean? And you go down a little bit. You said Peter was crucified upside down in Rome. So these are the things that the servants of the Most High had to go through, man. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy, man. It wasn't easy, man. James, the brother of Jesus, not officially an apostle, they said he was thrown down from the southeast pinnacle of the temple over 100 feet down when he refused to deny his faith in Christ, man. He didn't want to deny, his faith in Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? When they discovered that he survived the fall, his enemies beat James to death with a club. This is thought to be the same pinnacle where Satan had taken Jesus during temptation, man. This is what they did, man. This is what they did. To preach the word, man, and to be set apart. Do the right thing. Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel, was a missionary to Asia. He witnessed in present-day Turkey and was martyred for his preaching in Armenia, being flayed to death by a whip, man. Martyred for his preaching, man. Martyred, man. Flayed to death by a whip. You know how painful that is? Andrew was crucified on an X-shaped cross in Greece. After 7 soldiers whipped Andrew severely, they tied his body to the cross with cords, prolonging his agony, man. His followers reported that when he was led to the cross, Andrew saluted it in these words: "I have long desired and expected this happy hour." I mean, rejoicing in his tribulation, man. I mean, because he knows what's to come. The cross had been consecrated by the body of Christ hanging on it. He continued to preach to his tormentors for 2 days until he died, man. Wow. I mean, you got to be tough, to go through that, man. These are not weak men. The Apostle Thomas was stabbed with a spear in India during one of his missionary trips to establish the church there. You know what I mean? Look at that, man. And then you got Paul. The apostle Paul was tortured and then beheaded by the evil Emperor Nero, man. In Rome in 67 AD. This is what they had to go through, man. You know what I mean? And Lord willing, man, this is promised to us too, man. You know? But we got to look on the acts of our forefathers and what they did, you know? So we could have strength to go through the same thing, you know? Matthew suffered martyrdom in Ethiopia, killed by a sword wound. John faced martyrdom when he was boiled in a huge basin of oil during a wave of persecution in Rome, man. You know what I mean? You know, but you remember John was the only one that survives, and he wrote the book of Revelations, man. He was the only one on the island of Patmos, man. So you see, these are the things that you're going through. And now I'm going to jump back to Hebrews chapter 11. So back to Hebrews chapter 11, and this also ties into the Apocrypha. I mean, 2 Maccabees chapter 7. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna read a little bit of that, you know, for you guys to show you how valiant, you know what I mean. Some of these Israelites were, man. You know what I mean? Not everybody was a damn sellout. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, these guys were straight goons, man. You know what I mean? These other guys were cowards, man. You know? So it says right here, I'm reiterate it again, man. You know? Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings. You know what I mean? Moreover, the bonds of imprisonment. You know what I mean? So right here, a little overview. This is the you know, the king of I think it was Rome, Antiochus Epiphanes, and he wanted these Israelites to eat the pork, man, and they didn't want to do it. They chose to die. You know what I mean? They chose to die over eating this pork, man. You know what I mean? You know, and this was a family that he killed right here that I'm about to read you. I mean, just a few passages. I mean, it was a mother and 7 of her sons, and they all chose to die. You know what I mean? And he brutally killed them. So this is chapter 7. You know what I mean? 2 Maccabees chapter 7. And it came to pass that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the Lord to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whips. Remember that. Remember Hebrews 11, man, 35. Remember that. But one of them spake first and said, "Thus, what is thou ask or learn of us?" It means we are ready to die, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. So he's pretty much telling, I mean, the king of Rome, look, we not bowing down to you. We here to die. I mean, we're not breaking the law. I mean? Then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body, man. So his major organ, they probably cut his penis off, you know what I mean, his toes, his legs, his fingers, things like that. The utmost parts is like the big regions of your body. The rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. So he did this one by one in front of all their families, man, while the brothers and the mother looked on. You know what I mean? And he killed them all in this manner. The same exact manner that he killed the first son, he did it to every single last one of them. You know what I mean? Cut out the tongue, cut out the utmost parts. I mean, we're going to keep going. And then, and he put them in I'm going to read this first. And now, when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire, and to be fried in a pan. And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus. You know You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So this is what they did after they cut off his utmost parts. You know what I mean? After they did that, they put them in a frying pan so they could be tortured, man. And they all got the same thing in the exact order. You know? So when the first was dead after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, "Will thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body, man?" I mean, you see right down there, it said, but he answered in his own language, no. You know what I mean? This is what these guys did, man. Valiant men and women, man. So right here, you know, all his brothers had died already, and he's down to the last son. It's just the son and the mother left. And you know, right now in this passage that I'm about to read, you see Antiochus Epiphanes, the king of Rome. He's offering the little boy a deal, man. Like, look, man, you know, you don't have to go through this, you know. And I'm gonna read what he told him after he done killed all his 6 brothers. Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, whilst the youngest was yet alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and a happy man if he would turn from the laws of his fathers, man. This is what they wanted. And that he would also take him for his friend and trust him with affairs. So this is what he's offering right at him at this point. Like, look, just turn from the laws of your father. Just eat this meat. You know, I'll make you rich. I'll make you happy. You know, and I'm going to elevate you. But that little boy, he said no, man. He chose to die. You know what I mean? He chose to die, man. And suffer the same fate like his brothers, man. Get his tongue cut out, cut off his utmost parts, put him in a cauldron and burn him. You know what I mean? You know? And this was the youngest son. You know what I mean? All you niggas out here that sold out, you know what I mean? Shame on you, man. Because all this guy had to do was, all these brethren had to do was eat a piece of meat, man. Eat a piece of pork. And they didn't do that, man. You know, all praises to the Most High for that. And I hope the Most High give me this kind of strength, you know what I mean, in the day to come. You know what I mean? Strength like this, you mean courage like this, valiancy like this, man. You know what I mean? All he had to do was eat a piece of meat, you know what I mean? And they killed him, then they killed the mother after. You know what I mean? You see right here in verse 25, it said the young man would you know, it would not hearken unto him, man. You know what I mean? And he tried to persuade the mother to tell him to eat the piece of meat, and he didn't do it, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's it, man. You know what I mean? I pray the Most High give me this kind of strength and courage in the day that comes, man. Days that comes. You know what I mean? You know. So everybody wasn't a sellout, man. You know what I mean? It was true warriors back then. You know what I mean? That stood for the law. You know what I mean? And all they had to do was eat a piece of meat, you know what I mean, to live happy. And they chose not to. So, I mean, so look on the acts of your forefathers, you know, the things that they did. You know what I mean? And the courage that they showed. Don't be like these, you know what I mean, these sellout niggas out here. And all these other guys that just want temporary, you know what I mean, temporary gains from Satan, man. I mean, yeah. All praises to the Most High for that, man. All praises to the Most High for that. Hopefully this was edifying. You know what I mean? Yeah.